when Robert the Bruce made his comeback and he came into Galloway here. One of the earliest battles, but one we don't seem to know a lot about, took place here at a place called Rapploch Moss, where Robert the Bruce and his men, estimated about 300 at the time, assaulted a sleeping camp of around 200 soldiers. And that was his first strike at really cementing his return. He'd fought with English at Turnberry, had failed to take the castle, but he did deliver them a bloody nose with Henry Percy's force there. He's retired into Galloway. He's performing raids in certain places. He's active, not hiding. And he would have had patrols out here, and they would have spied this English force camped out there beyond and fell upon them in the early hours. It is an area in a battlefield in Scotland like no other. We can look, but we can't touch. We can't walk in it. It's in a class of its own. Coming into view now is Clatteringshaws Loch, formerly Moss Rapploch, and way out yonder there is your Battlesite, folks. This has also been a unique position in olden times. What we have here overlooking the loch at the moment is the foundations of an Iron Age roundhouse. And it's in great condition. I wonder if Robert Bruce and his men stood up here in these ancient foundations, spying the English camp that they were about to attack. Coming down these stones, oops, they are extremely slippy, they're treacherous. Really watch your footing if you come down here, but the loch's much more inland than when I was last here a few weeks ago. You could walk out there a fair bit. But what's interesting is if you go into the Canmore site as well, there are reports that before this reservoir was completed in the year 1935, that bones, helmets, swords and daggers were found out there. There's also a report that a farmer in the year 1818 found spears. So somewhere on a raised bit of ground on the bed of the loch is a battlefield. This leads up to what we call the Bruce Stone. And on the stone it says that Bruce defeated an army, an English army. But it would more likely it be a force, a patrol group, numbering anywhere between 50 and 200. But out there was the Battle of Rapploch Moss. But these foundations are beautiful. They really are. first time that I ever came here. And I still have photos. I remember setting up a camera to take a picture of myself. It was a really misty morning. It was thick with fog. And I'd camped early, at something like 6 AM or something like that. And it made a really eerie walk out here. And it gave it the perfect atmosphere, of course. I often wonder at this point, I mean, Robert Bruce has come back with, shown some gall. You know, he has that, a small, powerful, hardened force is much better than a large, inexperienced army. And when he came with mercenary Islemen to the mainland, and he's attacked English straight away, you know, but he's met with hardships before that. He's lost 2 of his brothers in a landing, and I will cover the Loch Ryan incident. But he's went on the offensive. I mentioned in the Glentrool video that Bruce came back not just to start again and have another go. The old Bruce wouldn't have accomplished that. He came back a new man, a different man, a man that was willing to do whatever it takes to realise his quest. The bird life in this area is just phenomenal, and is famous for eagles visit from time to time, ospreys, buzzards, even red kites in the area. So what we're looking at now, just ahead of you, is another famous Brucey stone. It's strange because as a boy, I remember reading about this in books and always being told that this was the King's Stone. I mean, it no matter, but it just shows you how history changes in little ways, you know. It's now known as another Bruce stone, just like the one at Loch Trool. A worn out plaque telling you about the different routes on the trail here, but let's focus on this huge piece of Galloway granite. It's beautiful, it really is. And this is an old friend. I've been here many times. I've sat on top, I've reclined against it, I've just stood beside it, and this, by repute, by legend and folklore, is once out there Robert Bruce's force had routed that English camp, and while they picked their way through, stripping them, taking their armour, their weapons, anything else of need, that Bruce came up here and he reclined himself against this very rock, and it's always become known as the King's Stone or the Bruce Stone. This is literally where there may be some merit to it that Robert the Bruce sat here and watched these men enjoy the fruits of their labour. as I head away from Clatteringshaws Loch, what was formerly Rapploch Moss, in the scene of a Bruce victory. This can easily be combined with Glentrool in one day, and it's well worth it. But even although we have these two areas heavily associated with Robert the Bruce and Galloway, I don't tend to just think of it in these two areas. The wilds of Galloway were a refuge for Robert the Bruce on more than one occasion, and he knew them well. And from an outlaw's perspective, they give you every single advantage. Now, he had a body of around 300 men, and Bruce was a leader. He was a naturally good, intelligent leader. And those men would have had jobs, even when they weren't raiding, fighting, doing any of that. Some would have been tasked with going out and checking their traps, providing food for the body of men, and they would have looked after different areas. Some would have been gathering wood for the fire that night and for cooking. Every one of them would be part of a strong, organised body of guerrilla fighters. And wherever you go in Galloway, it's all over the place. They didn't stay in one place more than one night. They did move around, and even if you go to some of the walks today, goodness me, Raiders Road, Black Loch, the Den of Bar, there are just some great places. Even if you go up onto the Red Deer Ranges, you'll see how wild this country is, but also how it would have provided for Bruce and his men. But travel through Galloway, put your imagination to work, because that's the gift, that's what it's for, and that's what makes these stories more interesting and certainly meaningful. As Galloway has a lot to offer, and I'm not finished down here. After the Glentrool project, I do have other lines of pursuit, and a lot of it focusing on Edward the Bruce, Robert's brother, and in my opinion, one of the greatest military leaders of his time. If you've liked this video, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, help me grow. It's fully appreciated, and I'll be out in all weathers just trying to bring you good content, because I love to do it and it's a way of life for me anyway. Thank you. Stay tuned, folks. Rapploch Moss. I don't know, sometimes curiosity gets the better of me, and I wonder if that's what early excavations revealed. What else is lying out there? What lies beneath? I would love to somehow see it drained in a modern day archaeological dig put in. That's one of our battle sites. Clatteringshaws Dam, constructed by the Galloway Water Power Company, 1932 to 34. The dam and the loch occupy ground memorable in Scottish history. Close by the dam ran the old Edinburgh Road leading to Whithorn, the earliest Christian foundation in Scotland. The waters of the loch are gathered from the fastnesses of the dungeon of Buchan, and from the site of that ancient forest of Buchan, where Robert Bruce was hard pressed by his enemies after his return to Scotland from Rathlin in 1307. A victory gained near this place by Robert Bruce, or his brother Edward, is commemorated by the great boulder known as the King's or Bruce's Stone, which stands near the shores of the loch 700 yards north of Clatteringshaws Farm. Mary Queen of Scots passed this way on the 13th of August 1563. The surrounding wilds were sought as a refuge by the Covenanters during their struggle in the 17th century.